We are live here on a Monday at the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. I'm kind of trying to dress up a little bit, and you're catching me live, which is great. If you're watching live, fantastic. If you are joining us whenever, welcome aboard. So I've talked throughout my show, and I have written on the 415 Media blog about the chaos. And indeed, right now, it is chaos regarding the San Francisco Giants broadcast booth. That's both radio, very, very evident on radio, and especially television, too. But more importantly, in this instance, it is regarding the radio. So basically, here's the deal. And again, I'm not bragging, I'm telling you the truth. You're not going to get any of this coverage, which you should, I may add, on any of the outside outlets like the Chronicle, like the various Bay Area news group papers, anywhere. Certainly, you're not going to get it on KNBR. And that is, look, let's just cut to the chase. The Giants' radio situation is a quagmire. Once again, at his choosing, and he really controls the situation. John Miller chose not to accompany the Giants to St. Louis. He worked the very special game last Thursday when the team was in Birmingham, Alabama, playing that very special game, which happened to coincide with the death of Willie Mays. That was a national broadcast. Miller, of course, John Miller, who is the head radio broadcaster, does occasional television for the Giants, chose just to do that game. He then came back to San Francisco. So you had basically just a three-man group in St. Louis. Well, you had more than that. You had the D League, as they're called. They call themselves the D League group. And that's the radio fill-inners like Joe Rizzo and the utterly disgraceful FP Santangelo, who continues to embarrass himself. And I guess the Giants are not in a position, at least, to where they could dictate to Santangelo to be more analytical, less gimmicky, and to try to provide just the basic necessities of a radio color guy. He doesn't do that. And the Giants and KNBR, to a lesser degree, are well aware of that, and yet they don't do anything. Maybe because they're powerless. Maybe because of the fact that since they don't pay anything, they don't pay anybody any worthwhile cash, you then get what you get. Like anything in life, you get what you pay for, or in this case, what you don't pay for. And you have a D League crew on radio when you don't have Miller, and that's Joe Rizzo and FP Santangelo. I'll get back to that in a second. And then you have Miller, John Miller, who pretty much does radio based on his own schedule and what he tells the Giants, what games he's going to work and what games he's not going to work. I've been told by various people within the area, people who know the lay of the land with regards to the Giants broadcast situation, that Miller is tired and that he's at an age, he's 72, which is not that old, by the way. It's not young, but it's not old. He has command of his own schedule. He tells them what games he's going to do and what games he's not going to do. But ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, that affects not just the radio booth, that affects television too, because invariably when Miller does work radio, he invariably does work on the television side. And that ultimately affects the game, whether you listen to it, whether you watch, what takes place on the television side. So, and that involves Dave Fleming and now the various flavor of the choice. I think the vastly overrated Hunter Pence. Again, a former player, not somebody I'm enthralled with, but that's who the Giants have laid their broadcast eggs on, are these people. But let's get back to Miller. Now, Miller, as I just indicated, he is at an age where he's told various Giants officials in the broadcast area, including Larry Baer himself, that he's older, he wants to work his own schedule, and they're apparently okay with it. Fine. That's what they want to do. Great. That's up to them. But, several of you have written to me in weeks past and have said, you get it. You agree with me, or even if you disagree with me, the product inside, especially on radio, is vastly negative. It's embarrassing for a franchise as regaled as the San Francisco Giants to work on various broadcasts with fricking FP why am I saying fricking? Fucking FP Santangelo, who is an embarrassment. Joe Rizzo, it's not my cup of tea. I think the guy is kind of boring, vanilla, and very averages. Again, you get what you pay for. FP Santangelo, who for some reason has Larry Baer's ear. He doesn't get paid quite a lot. He's hanging around. He used to be a player, and all he does is offer cliche after cliche after cliche. In fact, this just in, if you listen to FP, if you don't, he does not shut up. He doesn't shut up. I guess FP Santangelo feels as if he has to talk every other second, which is what he does. Maybe he figures that he keeps talking, he'll say something that will mean something of significance, which rarely happens. And even when he does make a point, it's a cliche. It's banal. It's the obvious. That's what you get when you have a D-leaguer or an E-leaguer or an F-leaguer. And again, that's all dictated, including Joe Rizzo, who is the play-by-play guy, like you heard in St. Louis if you listened to any of the radio games. Then you have Dave Fleming, who is okay, better than okay. And Hunter Pence, who I think is vastly overrated, doesn't offer anything other than a typical ex-Major League Baseball player jock mentality, and he uses all the cliches. The good thing about Hunter Pence, he's not FP Santangelo. That's the truth. Miller. Now, Miller has told people that because of the travel situation regarding baseball, and this I get, fine. That would be a normal response, a normal situation. Yet, and I call this, if Miller is truly tired, then why would he work games, say, in New York, in Chicago, in, say, Boston, where he's worked all this year, Philadelphia, yet doesn't go to Milwaukee, doesn't go to Houston, doesn't go to pick a city. I call it selective exhaustion. Last year, I brought this up, and I've brought this up many a time. This is a guy who says he's tired. Then why did he go to Mexico City? And then swore off going to Houston, which was on the itinerary for the Giants last year. See, so this whole thing about being tired, and mind you, and I'm not, look, He could do whatever he wants. The Giants could do whatever they want. I'm giving to you folks what I know, an opinion based upon some facts, based upon just some information. Why do you hear John Miller a lot? Why do you not hear John Miller? And John Miller, who, by the way, I listen to. I'm not crazy about John Miller of late. I think he tells far too many stories and cliches and, talks about balls and strike calls too much and says things like could have been called a strike, could have been called a ball. And, that miles per hour off the bat every 5 seconds. We got to hear that it was 116 miles an hour off the bat of so-and-so, as if the player can dictate how hard, or in this case, how fast he can hit a ball off of his bat. But that's neither here nor there. I like Miller as a broadcaster. He's a Hall of Famer. Therefore, the fact that he travels now and swears, very few games does he travel. And he doesn't go to all the cities. He doesn't take off every other week. He takes off now every other series. I guess that's kind of like every other week. I know the travel in baseball these days is far more lengthier because you have the various of the schedule and there's home and home series, and travel is a lot more laborious. Although keep in mind, folks, these guys, they travel first class. They stay in first class hotels. They don't have to fly most of the time commercial. They can go with the team. And if they're not flying with the team, they fly first class. They stay at first class, hotels and have all the nice beds and the food. And Miller likes to walk around various cities. So this is not like going into Houston or Oklahoma City or in Dubuque or going on a flying commercial like a lot of you and I have flown in the past. This is somebody who has his travel taken care of. And I just find it odd that the Giants are apparently okay with this schedule based on Miller's when he wants to work. That affects the rest of the radio team and subsequently, many cases, the television side. I haven't even mentioned Kruko, Mike, and Kuiper, Dwayne. They don't travel on the road anymore. At least Kruko doesn't. He only does home games. Kuiper, well, he's getting tired, but he will work Cleveland this year. He's going to go and travel to Cleveland. Why? I guess as an homage to the fact that he used to play with the Cleveland baseball team. They were the Indians. Now they're the Guardians. But the whole entire episode is not indicative of a team that regards itself as, and I agree with this, a heralded sports franchise. You don't see this, and I'm going to use an example. You don't see this with the New York Mets, who have Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling and great broadcasters like that who travel with the team, who take time off. Of course they do, but not to the degree that the Giants allow. This is their brand, folks. It's their imagery. It's their broadcast department. You would think, wouldn't you, logically, that they would have more say? You say, Rich, well, what are they going to say? They're going to say, hey, look, you guys got to make a decision. You want to work long term? And I realize, look, I know the travel sometimes it's laborious, but you have this ditzy D-leaguers like Santangelo, like FP, and Rizzo. You shouldn't have to put up with these D-leaguers. You should have a coherent and a coherent crew and somebody that works fairly regularly like most of the games, if not all. I know that's impossible. It's bizarre. The Dodgers, they've got their own crew. They've got like a second crew, but at least their second crew are not D-leaguers. They've got Charlie Steiner and the guy, Charles Geist, who works at Fox. They've got National League or National League, national prominent broadcasters, the Braves, the Chicago Cubs, the other New York team, the Yankees, the Giants, I would think you would agree with me, are in that class. Yet here they are with one of the most shameful broadcast crews who don't work a lot of games lately. And they put these bozos on, these idiots, these yahoos like FP Santangelo. For God's sakes, what an utter embarrassment. I say what's on my mind. You're not going to get this, folks. Do any of the Giants beat reporters, they talk about the broadcast department? They should. They should. You don't get that. They don't say a word. They don't say a word. None of the columnists talk about it. I'm not boasting because I'm the only one who talks about it. I just find it utterly, utterly curious that they put up with this and that they've so cheapened their own brand by allowing this broadcast gobbledygook to take place. Miller, I'm tired. But you're not tired to go to New York. It's good taste, John. I know you like to walk around Fifth Avenue and go to the museums in Philadelphia, which has great, restaurants, and streets, and all the architecture and all the great food that is Philly. But you don't do Houston. You don't travel sometimes to Toronto, which is a great city, even of itself. A fly just came in. Maybe that's a fly on the wall. But I can't believe that nobody else other than you fans out there thinks about this, talks about it. The Giants, to me, in a world-class city still, even though it's not the same, allow the mishandling of their broadcast crew. And believe me, folks, I've said this, I've intimated all along, there will be changes. Attrition is attrition. Eventually, of course, it happens with attrition, but more so now than you think. And in that situation, they're going to be forced to have to make some heavy duty decisions, which is inevitable, right? Hey, I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you later. Let me know what you think. I love feedback. And subscribe to my channel. Please make a contribution so I can continue to give you all the various media minutia and opinions and information and entertainment that you look forward to every day. Thanks.